Okay, we are good to go.
I probably need to find the agenda, so barely.
I can share it on the screen.
Right here, if you want
Oh.
It's just on.
Yeah, you can just bring it up on the
Okay.
screen, Nick. So we'll call the meeting to order at 7 PM. And are there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to public comments. Any members of the public have anything to comment? No public comments. We'll move on to the minutes of the previous meeting.
Which was September 11th, 2024.
Do I have?
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for September 11th, 2024.
Second that motion. Motion by Glenn, second by Jamie to approve the previous meeting minutes as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No one's opposed, motion carries. Old business, which brings us to the project final review, which everybody should have gotten in their inbox.
So you want to do that first or old business? Because it's two separate things.
Well, old business 5.1 is,
All right, so that's where we start.
that's where
Yeah.
we start,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
We got the schematic site plan. It is the first vendor that actually got us all this stuff on time.
Yeah, it looks like I had a really good conversation with them in January. We went through a number of the highlights that are in the permit and discussion document that went with the site plan diagram document. And ultimately, most of the discussion was about stormwater. That's the biggest site concern.
I had one question on this, and maybe somebody can help me because I don't think I saw it anywhere here unless I'm challenged, but where is the well?
That corner,
That corner.
right here.
It's already.
Oh, there it
You can
is.
actually see it if you walk onto the property.
No, I just didn't know where it was, and they didn't specifically call it out, but I see it.
That's
It's down
pre-existing
here.
though, right?
Yep, it's
Yeah.
there.
Oh, and I see W for the water line.
Water line.
Yep, I got it. I knew it was pre-existing, I just didn't know where it was, so, okay. It looks like they proposed, are those their drive-through bays?
Drive-through bays.
Yes, which is nice.
Yep.
Good traffic pattern.
Quite a little bit of stormwater work, basically.
Giant vault, absolutely enormous vault is that square.
Yep. 60
Yeah.
by 60, 4.5 foot underground.
But I appreciate their creativity in being able to solve this First Creek problem that we are dealing with.
Now, the 5,000 gallon tank, that's for like the drains in the bay? If I'm looking
Yes.
at that right, because you got your septic tank and then you have a 5,000 holding tank.
Yes.
So that'd be like a oil water separator type tank?
Yes, that's exactly it, because we need to be able to.
Yeah, we had one of them at the
To
state.
do the contaminants. That'll also be, have like the wash and dryer will feed into that.
Yeah, we had one at the state. And I see there's a dumpster pad and everything.
So I think for the committee itself, we need to really look at the other half of this building beyond the bays to see if we're able to fit what we talked about in there, or whether this would have to be a two-story
So do you,
structure or on that side, or at least part of it.
so on this here, what do we have to do for acting on this? Because I have some stuff on this, but I don't know if it's part of
What was
acting
our,
on this or.
remind me, what was our original square?
We were at 12,000 square feet.
Right on.
Are we getting away with a traditional septic system
Yes.
there?
Right here.
Okay.
Right here.
So my only question kind of would be, and I think this comes down to when we get into costing the project, would be, we're right at 12,000 on the office I'm gonna call it the multi-purpose space, not the bays. You know, your bays are gonna be pretty high to begin with, so do you make that a second story? Add an elevator in there, which
Yeah.
is, if it's not public, you don't actually need it, but
So as long as your offices and your meeting rooms downstairs, right?
Downstairs.
Then the rest doesn't have to be,
correct.
right? Isn't that how that works? So you could have,
But you know, it just depends, like, I think it comes down to, you know, once you get to costing, to figure out what is the cost to add a second story to that.
but I would say it's cheaper to go up.
Up is
to go out.
cheaper right now.
Well, there's really no place to go out.
No, but I'm just saying, that's what they
So,
usually say, right?
yeah.
So, I mean, things that we had discussed in the past were a locker room,
Mm-hmm,
equipment storage, offices, a meeting space, a kitchen area, an exercise area. I don't know what else we did have on the sheets originally,
I still have
some
those. too.
potential bedroom areas for the future, but I don't know.
Now,
I
could
mean,
those go upstairs?
You would need
have to put an
Yeah,
elevator
yeah.
in, but you know, you might be
Oh,
better
and-
off doing an
And
elevator.
residential build code says you have to have at least one bedroom or equivalent here. So you could have one, it doesn't have to be more than a mid-code bedroom, so.
Oh,
enough
on the
room to-
downstairs.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be much more than a closet, like,
Your other constraint's gonna be, you've got 3 bays. I don't remember exactly what the square footage is, and we have to be careful about sleeping space requiring it to be fully sprinkled.
No, that's, so
Correct.
that is very correct.
So I
And
think
that was
we
something
wanna
we talked
try
about.
and get away with not fully sprinklering
Yeah.
the building if we can. Obviously, fire alarm, it makes good sense no matter what, especially because it's the fire department. I'm
Right.
not gonna play that game that I would
Yep.
normally play.
I mean, we've got alarms in both stations. We had added. in.
Yeah.
So,
And, you know, but I think given that this is only fed by a well, we want to be really careful about square footage constraints and sleeping constraints based on the need for sprinklers.
That was the other thing that we talked about earlier on
Mechanical room. That
was,
was another.
you know, seeing the cost of that to go from Dutch Lane to there with
Right.
town water. Remember we had talked about that?
given the track of the department is extremely it's undercapitalized already. I mean, it would be currently built into the cost of the project, so.
The other challenge
We can
with
also
that
do
is there enough water in the system to sustain
There
another
will be,
fully sprinklered building?
but the
You'd still have to have a study.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
biggest thing, the other solution to this is use a tank and.
Yep.
And do the water storage on site.
Yeah, that's normally what, but I mean,
Right.
that's your other option, but now you're eating into, you
Your
know,
room,
some
your
other room and
space.
space and
However, if you're
everything.
going up, then that on the first floor in mechanical room area is not as,
Can you have a basement there?
I wouldn't.
Water table.
I'm just
You
asking.
know, I mean, I've seen water pretty close to there,
Yeah,
not
they do.
necessarily there, but the water table is gonna.
Right,
Really
right.
high.
They could donate it to
They can donate to the water tower.
Mac.
Max Tower,
Yeah,
yeah.
They want to take it down. They
Yeah,
wanted to
it's
do that
coming
for a
down.
couple of years.
Mac right on it for them.
if they want to.
So, I mean, I think those are the things when you get into the architectural phase and you start talking about sizing, and those are the things that the architect and engineer can lay in. I mean, could you add, in theory, maybe you could even add a second story, you know, if I'm thinking right over that 12th, you know, over that kind of office area, if you will, multi-purpose area outside the bays, make that a second story. What does that do to our square footage?
That's another
You said
6,000
like-
square feet.
Adds another 6,000 square feet. If you talk about, like locker rooms, use, like flow of the space and those kind of things are where you get into what goes on which floor.
Right.
And I mean, at this point, an elevator is really a negligible cost associated with that.
I think I would only second story above the.
That's all I would do if I'm
Oh, yeah,
kind of
yeah,
even envisioning.
The bays are a single story,
Yeah.
tall, but single story. Double bays over the office.
Yeah.
Correct. And if I
Utility,
even
locker room
envision
area.
like if you wanted to go, traditional or like a more modern type construction, both visually, that would look good,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
got
somewhere
higher
with
side
seven and
here
another
and then the
little-
lower side, I
Yep.
kind of picture like a flat, I'm thinking modern, like even like what Chester just built.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's 2 stories. Where did that?
So Chester,
It's tall.
Might have a
On the
picture
one
from
side.
that other.
It's in
photo
there.
Right here.
Yeah. What was that is the,
You've got 40 spaces
Yeah.
of parking.
because you have to be careful on that too, the number
Right,
of people, because then you're gonna have to sprinkler.
Right, you're,
So,
keep it the max, like this parking space situation is about as optimized as we can to maximize the numbers.
right.
yeah.
I mean,
Of occupancy.
granted, like bay four may be a one that doesn't get used all the time, so you'll end up pulling
Somebody
a couple
parked,
cars
that's right. No,
on that curve over
and that's
there.
totally up to what we utilize.
Right,
it
it's
for.
how we set it up with
You
the
know.
trucks that are in there. Correct.
That could be.
So that could be
So like
trailers.
Cambridge did theirs, they didn't do a full drive-throughs, but it's boxed out,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
framed out for it.
For it.
So if they ever want to, it's already framed in for a
Simple-
garage
simple
door,
solution.
that's
You
right.
could put 710 with a trailer right behind it and the other trailer headed out the back door if
Yeah.
you needed to.
Yeah.
And that way they're all ready to
So, it
go.
doesn't look like Chester is 2 stories, Middlebury's is 2 stories.
Middlebury's is fairly new too, isn't it?
Yeah, Fred Loaf did
But,
theirs.
so if you're talking about other buildings, and I was waiting to, after this,
Mhm.
but we could go look at, me and Josh were just there, we could go look at a building, I swear is this design right here. It's
Okay.
in Argyle, we were just over
Oh,
there.
yeah?
We measured it out with our feet, everything,
Single
and
story on the other side or?
single story all the way through, I'm telling you, it's
Fire
beautiful,
department?
isn't it? Yeah. So, and Chief Bristol said we can come over anytime we want, but I swear
Okay.
it's that layout right
And
there.
maybe just worth getting eyes on, just for us to
Isn't
kind
it?
of have some,
Visuals.
Yeah,
some visual, because that helps a lot of people. I can kind of picture a layout inside in that
we did a,
size, and it just depends, like how much office space do you really need, right? How
So
big
we-
do the locker rooms have to be?
we did a
It's-
walkthrough. And their office space, they have a big office radio room. And then they have a huge kitchen, and we were kind of picturing how we could change that a little bit, but I'm telling you, it's exactly this right here.
I feel like functionality, form and function wise, your like washer, dryer, your equipment, like turnout gear, locker rooms, kind of fitness maybe all on the first floor. If you did 2 stories, in the second floor, I would do maybe in a radio room, and then on the second floor, you probably have one lockable office, some cubicles, and a big meeting space that you could, in theory, it's not sleeping space, right? But if you had a large open area and there was a big storm,
You have some couches around the
Yeah.
edges, et cetera.
Yeah,
Not
get some
nice.
cots out of the school, right? And set them up
They have a
and you,
beautiful couch that I donated over there already, so.
but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's,
So
it's
it's not
temporary, it's
right.
temporary. It
It's
would
like
only
a
be
storm here, we're gonna stay here.
Emergency
That's
response,
right, which is what we
temporary
used to do in the old station.
Correct.
kind of
We
thing,
had the
right?
showers,
We had-
everything, but
Yeah, we had the showers and all that.
I think,
That's
showers,
one of the big things, you're gonna need showers.
I think showers
Right
are
off your locker
important.
room.
And I think you navigate showers through having kind of like a common locker room area, and then you have maybe 3 individual cubicles that you can go and close the door to change in and have a shower available. And that solves your problem with a men's, because if you need a men's and a women's, and then you're still gonna need one that's standalone, now you've got this whole, like, a lot of space, right?
So and I don't think they were that far in depth over there, but
No.
you know, but like, as far as the whole layout, it would be a good ride to go
Yeah.
over and see.
Yeah,
I
close,
was
close to
pleased
home.
with this site plan, and I like the drive-through bays, and I like this traffic pattern. I think for your trucks
Yeah.
and speed and ease of getting in and out.
Cause we were talking driveways on both sides at first, remember? And
Right.
then
Right.
I like this, you come in one direction.
It's
You
a
go
one-way
back out.
traffic pattern,
That's
right?
right.
You're
And
coming
you go
in at
back
the
out.
top, swinging around the back and pull through so that when you leave for a call, you're pulling straight out onto 7A.
Yep.
Ready to roll.
I think it's,
Yeah.
I think it's a good layout.
Awesome.
Mhm.
I was very pleased with this.
Me
This
too.
is a beautiful site plan, one of the best I've seen that has.
Does
come
it say
through
how big the
any of
apron
our-
is?
50
On
feet.
40 by
50 by
40 on this side and
76,
then 50 by
75.
76 here.
But what's the curb cut?
There's
There,
another,
there is 35 feet.
it
I
is
thought was
50 feet out. No, it's
76.
beyond.
There's 76 feet across-ish at the start of.
Oh,
the-
it's 50 there to there.
To
Yeah,
there, and then you've got another,
it's
12 feet
76 wide there, and then
Add another 10-ish
you've
further
got another
down.
12
And we'll be
feet.
able to get another curb cut from the state?
That was already permanent for 2 curb
Yeah.
cuts, I think,
Yeah.
for the
It was.
healthcare.
yeah.
For the
Cause the
health
squad was gonna have their own
Right.
curb cut back then, when they were gonna put the.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the
So
state
that
has
raises
pretty
the
much
next-
public safety facilities,
Yes.
so-
That raises the next question is, the fire department needs all 4 bays, right? But I don't see in this site plan where you could really
Add another building.
add another, unless the only way to add another bay, and it would probably just be exit to the back of the property, and you'd have to swing, that really wouldn't work.
The only way you could is make everything
You
on
could.
on that office side upstairs.
Well, you could add one more bay, have some
5 bays.
downstairs, and then have a much larger second story.
story.
So then we could do, and it'd have to be an all shared common area.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because we could justify one drive-through bay. And then one extra bay
I mean,
for the rescue squad. We
if they've
could,
got 2 rigs, they're gonna be back to back in there,
Yeah,
and so they would be.
like if they took out.
and then
bay
if we had a
4,
bay for like our pickup or brush truck or
And
whatever,
trailers and
you
stuff
know,
like that, yep.
it's for one egg. But. I mean,
So,
it could be talked about.
Yeah, I mean, you could,
yeah, you could.
right,
move-
you
this
could
is
put
19 feet
another
out.
bay in here.
Yeah. 19 feet up
And
here.
even not extend this curb cut, but extend this over, right? So
Yeah.
that you pull out like this.
And
The only thing it's gonna, yeah, as long as, the only thing you're gonna do is lose what, 1, 2,
Lose 2 spots, 2
spots.
spots.
Mhm.
right?
well, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Potentially.
yes,
But if you wanted to drive through, which I think makes sense.
Well, yeah, cause
maybe
they're
maybe
gonna have
not,
a hard
because
time
if
back.
they're, if you're packing, parking 2 ambulances.
They're gonna
back
drive
there,
one in, yeah, they're gonna have to back in.
Well, if
Fine,
they
okay.
pull through, they're gonna, well, no, you're right, because they don't always
They're
take,
not-
they just
right.
have one in service.
Right.
Which
They can back in
theoretically
there.
might be something that we're gonna do. I mean, if you
Something.
take, for instance, look at Manchester, like you talked about the trailer,
Right.
one way, one the other.
Mhm.
Which legally we can do, cause that was one of the things, if you two remember when we were down at New England Chiefs, was as long as you have enough room on your apron.
Apron to pull that
Then
vehicle
you can
out.
still
completely.
back
Yeah, no,
trucks in.
absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
So,
Cause that was something we learned down at New England Chiefs there, that you have to
Or
have.
do you do they back in,
What's that?
would this
Your doors.
be theirs and then we put
So
less
typically,
used
well,
equipment and back
76
one in
divided
here
by
and one in
4.
there and
That's
that maybe
basically-
doesn't go out all the time,
Yeah.
right?
12-foot minimum.
Like a brush
so
truck.
14.
Yeah.
Well, at least
Exactly.
6.
12.6.
Brush truck and a trailer or something.
Brush
So
truck and a
14 foot
trailer that is easier to.
That's right.
Just wondering
maneuver.
about
You've got
frame
more
material,
time,
like, what do we have to
right?
frame?
You're not in a rush for
Yep.
that stuff.
I think we
Figuring-
could
I figured
entertain that.
Or 16
with
foot
them.
width.
And I think it would be good.
Yeah,
So-
16 by
so-
14 is kind of what I
yeah,
was
so
thinking. I just didn't know how
The
high they
box
needed to
per
be.
bay is 19 by 76 on these, so it's.
Mhm.
1,400
Well, like you said,
square
it's
feet.
76, 16, 32, that's 60, 64. And divide, there in 4 bays, so we can make that work.
And I mean, that's something I think we should probably. I think we need to
Ask if there's a-
entertain that with the rescue squad before we get to the architectural phase.
So I've been waiting for a meeting because we haven't had one since fire prevention. So myself and Sonny, well, we were doing fire prevention, we're up at the site talking. And he actually brought this up, you know, I heard you guys were doing a building, this and that, is it still, and the way he talked was that they were very interested.
Oh, they're very interested. They've.
And it might be
expressed
I mean,
implemented
it might be a
it.
better sale to the town, right?
One building versus
One building
two.
for all,
I mean, that,
right?
it's a
Mhm.
municipal
Now,
services.
I know I can't talk for you, Ben, I can't talk for the squad, but for me would be, okay, now the highway crew could take
Well, that's what I
some
was
of
just
that
thinking.
building next door, right?
do
Now they
a
got a
building-
bathroom, they got a,
Take the property that the rescue
Right.
squad's on and do something different with the town garage.
that's right, you know? So
'Cause
that
it's
might
already
be,
an
I mean, that's
approved
way
lot.
out,
There's
but
a septic tank there already,
that's
right?
right.
Like-
Got a
Yeah, it's
bathroom.
pre-approved. Yeah.
It actually has excess septic capacity for what it is.
Yeah.
So.
So, you know, one hand's help,
Keep Mark out of my toilet.
one hand's helping the, you know,
But yeah, it wouldn't take a whole lot of marginal space here. Like,
No.
Your thoughts, Josh?
Well, and even if you took that
Yeah.
14,
I mean,
even if you took
Do you think the
1,500.
guys would entertain conversations with the rescue squad?
Yeah, but how much room would they need
I think it's one bay, then it's probably gonna be office space.
for office space and
Right.
They need-
living?
And if
do they need
anybody
living-
needs a bedroom, it would probably be them.
Right,
but the thing is, you go and look
They
at the
do
building
have
right
some-
now and they don't have a lot of room.
No.
No, they don't. They need like
But they need
2
some locked
lockable.
office spaces.
They
they
need a
need some
locked
equipment
medication
area.
room.
But I think we could do that
Sorry.
with the 2 stories on
Yeah.
that side.
Yeah,
I mean, you could probably get away with, say, okay, the base.
because their
is 100
base
square
would
feet.
be, could be shorter, not as tall, which then your second story could go right over top of the bay area.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they probably need 1 locked office and 1 locked
Supply.
supply
area.
medication area.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then the rest of it's semi-shared.
You
you
know, I
could
think-
do semi-shared spaces and the rest of it. I don't
Yep.
see why
Yeah,
not.
I
so
think
that
maybe-
sounds like a margin of like 300 square feet. If
Yeah.
you're if
And to
you're
your
giving them an
point-
enormous amount of space, like maybe.
They
200
don't
square
need the
feet.
long bay, and if they were backing in here and backing in here, there could be a center space as well.
Well, that'd
It's
a-
gonna be your pass through to these bays, right, from this space, but you've got some room there.
Yeah.
I think it's doable, very doable.
I think-
And I think it'd be a better,
Yeah, this bill box gives us a lot of
Better
opportunity
is-
for that.
you know, selling point of,
So the
We're
only thing
working
I didn't
toward that.
notice was a generator area,
Eh.
because we definitely need a generator.
or if we would.
Well, we could also do
Yeah,
that.
But could that be over on that 16 by 10 dumpster
I mean,
pad?
you could put it right,
You put it just
Anywhere
adjacent to
here.
that dumpster pad. Yeah. I'd put it on the forward side of it,
Right here.
roadside, right there.
Right?
Get ourselves a
Yep.
big diesel
Oh,
Caterpillar
yeah.
generator.
Just like the school.
But, I mean, if we're combining in together, now we're going more towards that municipal.
Municipal building.
Municipal building.
Probably more
we
grants
service the
available for
rescue
that.
Squad, we service, and
And there again, because they're a private organization, there would have to be
Oh, some sort of rental.
some sort of rental lease, something that goes
remember,
along
we
with
also
that.
approve an
Their property-
appropriation every year. to
Their
them,
property
so-
going over to the
Yep.
town,
Yep,
and they get so many years of.
And that's what we were trying to do before, if you remember, when we
Right.
first started talking
Well,
about it.
then we
over
had,
Yeah,
two
no,
heads that did not work
I
well
think
together.
this layout gives us a lot of flexibility in having those discussions and saying, we think that this will work based on the possibilities.
So, I mean, this is what the Wolf laid out. Do we have them give us an alternate? And draw it up for another bay? a
I don't
fifth
think we
bay?
even need to. I think we.
I think that's.
When it
we
gets to
have our
architectural, we'll be-
footprint, so that's an architectural engineering change. This
Okay.
is a site plan, so we
Okay.
know. This tells us what's gonna fit on the site and how we have to handle the groundwater.
And we make up the square footage with how we see fit with
That's
our
correct.
architectural engineer.
That's correct. We've got, these are where we believe the curb cuts can go. They know where the septic is. We know where the well is. So this is a really, the next step really would be to have those conversations. Then you would start in with an architect to say, these are our needs, these are our wants.
Mhm.
This is what we're thinking. We want to add another bay here back in on either side. What do you think it looks like? And how do we keep it under the square footage that we don't need a sprinkler?
Mhm.
So, yeah, and ultimately getting to that point, like, okay, when are the logistics of actually getting to, when do we get an architect in? And the answer is, it's gonna end up being, okay, there's not anyone else's money who's ever gonna pay for fire department architecture. So it's gonna be bar $1,500 in the state from that grant. So this is the kind of thing where, okay, do we think about this as a 1 year ask where we just balloon the fire department budget for 1 year and put 50 or 60 grand extra into the budget once 1 year? Or do we start in the direction of, okay, get a approximately maximum bond number, seek bonding on it, or do we seek a bond just for the art? Those are the three
Yeah.
options. And
Do we know who
like
did
Shasbury's,
Argyle's and Cambridge's and
town
Wilmington?
garage was one of those where you bonded for the architecture and then you bonded for the. And I'm thinking this is a lot more looking like that than any other thing.
I mean, you've got like Centerline and there's an architect in Albany that I've got his card.
There's
There's
a number of
Brentwood.
them. There's the firm that did the Bristol, that's fire department that's on a constrained
I
site.
think Breadloaf
two
did
level.
Wilmington,
Brett Wolf did Wilmington and they did Middlebury.
and then
And
we
they're
have
design build.
Cambridge's,
Yeah, we have Cambridge's on a CD.
Yeah.
in my office.
so we know who did Cambridge.
So-
Argyle, I didn't talk that much to Chief Bristol about, we're trying to take the class.
Are there any grant opportunities
None.
for architecture design?
None but are like a $1,500 grant from the state for.
Nothing from USDA? Because
USDA.
they're very good at giving to fire
That's
department.
that's the little ag grant that I was just talking about. It's a really small, like, drop in the bucket style grant. And in this grant environment where the feds are cutting back on every grant program. that
If we
exists,
approve with the municipal, or moving forward with the rescue squad, are there more grants available to a municipal building like that rather than just a straight fire department?
No, building funds in general don't exist for planning. And I talked with
Well,
emergency,
yeah, for
with
planning.
Vermont Emergency Management, they don't fund anything like this through any of the, like, the HMDP or anything, even though, like, we have a really flood risking site. They said, that sucks, good luck, go away.
Well, we take
Um,
another 20 grand.
But yeah,
to do
this is
architecture.
not the kind of thing we're gonna get a grant to pay for the architecture.
Depends on how in-depth you want
It's
them to
gonna
be.
be,
if you
okay,
wanna
we go to the voters and we say, okay, we're looking at this. Do you guys have confidence that we should be spending a pile of money? And
Start
borrowing
selling
to spend a
chocolate
pile of
bars.
money?
And we know that some of the, to your point, Nick,
Never-
and
boots
you know,
on the ground.
paying for the architectural service, and most of the architects will automatically write and seek as many grants as possible, especially the ones that are well versed in
Yeah.
municipal building and fire rescue construction. I know the firm we talked to out of Albany at the fire
Yeah.
expo. They were very specific that they have a whole team of people that do the grant
Do
writing.
grant writing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, if you're not qualifying for USD,
That
USD
was
Rural Development does.
What I
throw a
brought
bunch of
up
money
the
at
other
it.
night with that
Uh,
Station House Design Expo. There's 200 vendor sites down there
it looks
that
like
are strictly firehouse emergency services.
We were hoping to see
Building.
more New England cheese.
I
Yeah.
talked to the FEMA guy
Oh,
who
Houston.
does Fire Act grant stuff, and he said that effective, like I asked him, okay, are there any funding streams for this kind of project? Because that's what I walked in thinking that was a talk about. And he said the only one that's in play is really USDA rural development, which we know we're still too rich for, from all the other things we've tried to get their money for.
And there's probably a couple ways to, slice this too. Well, here's a whole company, Fire Grants Help, that just accesses all of that.
Yep.
I mean, there may be a fundraising opportunity for the architectural or to seek a donation. I don't know. One, the rescue squad is really well positioned, but so is the fire protection side, right? Because they're nonprofit, to fundraise for architectural services here to potentially avoid us having to bond that out and get donations, maybe in combination with some other small grants that we could figure out, or a grant writer could figure out how to make them fit into, getting some funding stream for that to get us. I think you're going to have a hard time bonding out this whole project without some visuals and proposed layout and what this really looks like.
That's where I was going, Glenn. If we have an architect, just give us some preliminary drawings, not a full set.
No, full.
Doesn't have to be a full set.
Or
It has
just,
to be an artist's
envision,
rendition.
Correct.
Mhm.
And
Let
that-
people see what they're voting on, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Right.
And
So
that's
they
the kind
can
of thing
see
that's like not that much to raise for.
a really,
Right.
really quick layout of the interior.
Like $10,000 to $30,000 project.
And that's the whole thing with, it's
Some of that
different
stuff
here.
you can get for probably $5,000 if somebody's really wanting to help you.
Depends. Yeah. Yeah.
The whole thing of the buildings coming over to you guys is so that when we go to do fundraising, that's what the type of stuff fundraising is gonna be for. Like now when we do fundraising, it's to
It's to
still
pay
keep
for the
that
building.
building
I
going.
understand
You know what I
that.
mean? So we're up for, and I've asked before and whatever time, and we've talked about over there is when it comes time. I don't care. We can even do a capital fund campaign to
Well,
help
that's what I
out
was
with a
thinking.
lot of
Can
it.
you do
you know?
that in conjunction with, if the rescue squad wanted to
They
talk
join
about
in,
it
then
and
you join
maybe
in
join
together.
together and
You know?
try and raise some funds.
One thing that I'm gonna talk to Ally about is, one thing that could be really successful, something like this, could be as part of a future fundraising letter for like an annual, bringing up you can absolutely include us in things like your will. A lot of the institutions I've worked with have benefited a lot from final bequests, and final bequests are
We've-
exactly the kind of thing that.
we've
brings
received
us. And I
A
think
lot of money that way in the
Yeah,
past.
and so we should, maybe
I
we
mean,
should
we had
take another press
one
on that.
from West Arlington that passed away that left us $60,000.
Well, I mean, even, right,
It
like,
was split
That pays
amongst
for everything for the.
rescue squad,
Yeah.
the library.
I look at somebody like myself, I don't really have anybody else to leave my stuff to. My stuff is left to a nonprofit museum, right? Property, house, everything, if there's nobody else. And that's just like, where does it go if you don't have anybody else and you pick
Mhm.
a nonprofit that
They
you're
auction
in
it
line
off and
with?
that's
And
what they do.
they auction
right?
it off and they
then
sell
get
it.
the- Yep, they get the
And they
money
get
and-
some money out of it,
Yeah.
absolutely. But, you at least know that the proceeds are going
going
to
something that you.
something that was in line with your values,
That's
right?
Yep.
So I think that's a great idea that, many people don't know that they can do that.
Yeah, and even the kind of thing like we can provide you model language of here's what to talk to with your lawyer.
But, so, I mean, as far as that, I'm sure we can do something. It's just that line now, when we're out fundraising now, is to keep the building we have going right now.
No,
Until things
absolutely.
get turned over.
You know,
And yeah, we'll
And where are we at with that? What's the status of?
I was out hold of our lawyer
we
again, so we're at that status.
yeah, so we'll be, it sounds like Darren has made some progress here. He's
Yeah.
made contact with the relevant party, and we'll be having those conversations in the coming months. As we
Okay.
wind toward the actual closing. But I'm hoping a mid-year closing.
Mid-year closing.
I'm
all right.
hoping for a mid-year closing.
I'm just thinking next steps here. Well, probably worth a discussion with the rescue squad is a next step, like, because that makes a lot of difference around it. That's a pivotal piece to everything else based on, which direction, if we want to ask an architect for a rough estimate to give us an artist's rendition so that we have kind of like a drawing. You've all seen them, right? The retail store that's coming and it's a little drawing, pen and ink drawing that shows, Dollar General and what it looks like, right?
And that's what
had
Don
some,
Keelan had in,
Absolutely.
for the library
In the
and
post office
He
and all
had
of
those
that.
nice little drawings, all in color and everything,
Yep.
but they were architect drawings, renditions, and I mean,
Absolutely.
it gave everybody an idea of, oh, this is what they're building.
Yep. And then,
Just put it
that
on
gives
the
you
side.
something to say, hey, we're seeking donations, right? See, I think rescue squad, find out how much an artist rendition would cost for kind of like an external footprint. We don't need to know the nuts and bolts on the inside yet.
Right.
And then we need to, once we have those two, is to seek, like, can we fundraise for this? Could the rescue squad in conjunction with fire protection fundraise for it? Maybe we also consider hiring a grant writer just to see what and how could they get creative to fit some grants in there for us.
Yep.
And I mean, a grant writer is what, Nick, like $2,000?
Yeah, that's what they've run when the Thomas has hired them, so.
Yeah.
Um,
And I know there's one that's specific for all of these kind of fire department stuff. I've talked to them before somewhere. I ran across them.
Did anyone have any, before we get off the site plan, did anyone have any questions on the accompanying memo that has all the other stuff on it, the zoning and all that? It seems pretty straightforward.
It was
And a lot of that's very internal and
Pretty straightforward.
yeah, so easy enough. So
It was all very straightforward. I really appreciate
I think they did a really good job.
the engineer for the work that they put in it and the fact that they delivered it on time to us,
yeah, it was
and per our specifications. So
without edits and without having to ask a whole bunch of questions from us. No, they did it right the first time.
So,
and I think, that goes to show from the committee standpoint, right? Like, we wrote the RFP, we sent it out. I know Joe isn't here this evening, but, definitely helped us through making sure that all the Ts and Cs were written properly in there. And I think it was affordable and, we got a really good product out of it. So I commend, I believe, everybody on the committee for contributing to that. And thank you.
as far as the conversation with the rescue goes, do we want to set another meeting and invite them in to do
I
this?
think that would be a good opportunity. Yeah.
So want to look at some calendars and see when we want to do this?
Sure.
Okay.
And I don't know who the right contacts
I don't know
are.
either. I was just about to say the
You
same
guys
thing.
can figure that.
Yeah, well-
Jamie and you guys can all figure that out.
We could tentatively do it
Preferably not
like,
on a week that the select board meeting.
Please, I can't
let's-
do these.
let's try for the 19th of March. That's a week that has no other current meetings on it right
Okay.
now.
Okay,
So
That's
I'm
perfect.
sugar
And I'm gonna head right into
Uh,
March
I-
Madness
I-
the following day.
I-
we could push
Saratoga,
it,
but I'm good.
we could also push it. to
No, no,
April
no.
at this
No,
point.
no.
Okay, good.
The sooner the better. So that you
19th is
have-
fine. I'm just
that
back
way you
from
know.
Florida the 18th. Yeah, I'm good.
I have a 10 a.m. in
Or I'm
Saratoga,
back
but
to
I'll be
12.
back.
Shit.
Yeah, there's a meeting in here like right before
I
this.
come back
It's
earlier than I
last
thought.
9 minutes, probably 5 into 7. But yes, I can reach out.
19th works for me.
Yeah, as long as that works for them.
Matt and I will just be coming off our bender from St. Patrick's Day.
Right.
Just kidding,
I have a
guys.
dentist
Just kidding.
appointment in Saratoga that morning, so.
Okay, so that sounds like good next steps. I'll reach out to the squad and.
I mean, that is the next step with that, right? But don't we all agree?
And that would be good because you
We'll
have
take
an
care of that.
officers
Okay, perfect. Thank
meeting
you.
on the 25th, right?
Then we can bring the schematic up and show them the,
We have a
Right.
That'll
regular
be a drill.
meeting.
you guys have a drill that week?
No,
No.
February. We have a meeting,
Our officers meeting, it would be the 4th of March.
we have a regular.
And that also-
monthly
The
meeting.
first Tuesday is officer, second Tuesday is drill, third Tuesday is board. Odd months, the fourth Tuesday is drill, even month, the fourth Tuesday is meeting.
So you got officers on the 4th
On the
and
first Tuesday, yeah, of the
of
month.
March, and then you've got another meeting on the 18th.
First Tuesday, March.
Which is a board, but if, sometimes we don't have it if we don't have a meeting that.
Do we have a board meeting on the 10th, Nick?
10th and 24th that month.
I'm gonna miss the 10th.
But are you coming over,
That'll be the reconstitution meeting. So
Jamie said so, are you
we'll
coming
talk
over
in
the
advance.
25th, Matt?
I can.
I'm available the whole week.
What's the
I'm assuming for
25th?
Florida that
Yeah.
Friday.
That's our regular meeting, Jamie said that you
Yeah, I
wanted to
do, yeah.
come in.
It's
Do
reconstitution.
your
So
little dinner there,
Liaison.
there's
Yeah,
dinner
that's
there.
liaisons and all those stuff,
6:30.
and.
Put on by
Board
the.
meetings and stuff. That's a
Yeah.
paperwork.
That's your
$1,000
regular meeting,
Regular
right?
meeting.
And you want me
I
to,
can, I'll be just as far.
I can do our,
I'll be fine.
I'm gonna call, it's more HR training now, we're dropping. You can't say that, you can't touch this meeting. Right?
Yep. We got them training coming up at the commons similar to that.
Where?
What's that?
$20 a person, you can come.
Yeah, you.
Oh,
Jeremy
that's
It's the
got it.
door.
That's the bridging the gap
Bridging the
thing.
gap.
I think
I'll
that's
catch up
great
with
because
Josh
that's a
after.
lot of the same thing, right? That's the,
Right,
and I don't know who all,
which is what I was
It's
trying
trying
to
to
get
get
everybody-
Cynthia about, but
The
she
only
didn't
thing there's
understand
a-
it. and-
Conflict with, there's a advanced extrication drill or training in Pownell that a lot of, or some of the guys want to go. You wanted to go to that, some of the others, they'd rather go take hands-on than,
yeah, when is that? The
Through a seminar.
22nd, right?
no, 29th.
29.
29th,
Of
that's
this month?
Saturday.
No.
Or March, I mean?
March.
But this guy, if you go see him anywhere else, he's 45 to 50 bucks. We decided on 20 per person.
Yep, here, but understood.
That's we can have a separate conversation about that. Yeah, we can plan on doing that on the 25th. I was just thinking it's nice. You'll have your board meeting on the 18th, the 19th. We have this meeting with the rescue squad. We may have a little bit of information, depending on how they feel about that.
Yeah.
To just kind of have that conversation and say, these are our next steps. So, we're moving forward with
Right.
trying to get some creative solutions, and we've got a really nice site plan. I can actually print the site plan out.
Yeah, so on the 25th, because I usually try to, in my reports during our regular meetings, try to give updates in our building committee for everybody. So, we could try to say, if you had a printout of the site plan on the 25th, and,
Yeah.
we're looking to
Let
speak
me,
with the squad and maybe pursue that, and
I got rid of, oh, well, we have a wide format printer downstairs, don't we?
Yes, I just need the origin paper for it, so we can.
I can get a couple copies of the site plan on a bigger piece of paper.
Well, that's what I don't have
Yeah, I
a
just
printer.
need
I can do it. I can get my mom to do it at Mac, and I just throw, we have our prints printed out there all the time. We just throw. them
Well,
away.
the town bought a printer.
Yeah,
Oh, we have one?
Yeah.
I literally just need to buy a roll of paper.
Oh.
I just
Well,
haven't
perfect.
got.
Yeah, so we'll order a roll of paper. I forgot we had one, because
Yeah.
I was
I did
thinking,
too.
I was gonna go,
Shit, yeah.
the CAD studio, but that's easy.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, worst case, I'll send it to Staples for.
Well, right,
$10,
exactly. It's
so
easy
it's,
easy peasy.
But yeah, we'll get that so that you have it and can kind of hang it up,
Yeah,
and just
we
so
can-
people start to look
It
at
might
it.
be beneficial too, whoever your contact is at Rescue, to hand them that.
Yeah, I can print some
before
11
the
by
meeting, and they'll
17
let them kind
tomorrow.
of chew on it a little bit and
I mean.
come to us, but we already have a
chatted.
plan, but they can
Mhm.
kind of come to us a little bit too and see what they want.
And I think we should pass along that thing that you brought over to us, that Moscow thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
For
you
them
know,
to look
let's-
at
they
and
can
say,
kinda go
hey, what's
through and
your-
say, you know, what
And
are
then
our
we might
needs
be
and
able
wants
to
and-
match some
What
of
is that,
them
like your
up.
needs and wants
Yes.
and
Wants,
must-haves?
Yeah.
Must
Yeah.
Must
have,
haves, your
I still have
wants.
your guys from the
Needs and-
first couple meetings,
Yeah.
so.
maybes
Yeah.
and nevers.
Yeah, then there's the maybes and nevers, and you know, it's nice to write everything down, right? And then cross off or move the post-its around, if you will.
The bingo hall went to the nevers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then they crossed it off.
Yeah, but
And then they crossed it off.
Yeah, they wanted to do bingo.
Yep.
Yeah, they moved it back.
Josh's neighbor's gonna stop about that. She wants bingo.
My
isn't
neighbor.
there bingo
Oh,
in
yeah.
the elementary school?
Yeah, the
Now
PTG
down
does
to
this
PTG.
bingo, yeah.
Because my dog groomer was going to bingo the other day.
So, when I joined the department in 1991, 91.
I can tell you.
We
they
were
have it
on.
here.
91, January 91 is when I was accepted. Application went in December of 90. You were on for 2 months.
Oh, and bingo.
In that month, in your 2 months, you did a spring, first half of the year and the second half of the year. You were on bingo every Thursday night. You were on Sunday check every Sunday. And you were in charge of all the drills for that month.
Well, there's plenty of,
Twice a month.
if
or
they
twice
really
a
want
year.
to do bingo, I'm
That's
sure
the
we
way
can
it all
work
works.
something out with the Legion.
But, and we paid off 2 mortgages by doing bingo over there. And
People love bingo.
Interesting.
No, bingo's a good fundraiser.
Right.
But
But I'll tell you what.
we can't right now because
You'd
we
walk
don't
out
have
of there,
alcohol.
you'd walk out of there at night.
Smell like cigarettes going.
Oh my God.
Well,
Yeah, those
even
two
that smoke eater.
Smoke eater
The
things.
smoke eaters,
Oh
oh, yeah, I
my
remember.
God.
Could we?
You couldn't see from one side of the room to the other by the time
So-
the night was over.
These are interesting conversations and great brainstorming, because now I'm thinking, you're just like, oh, this was a great fundraiser. And I think that my dog groomer went to bingo the other night at PTG. They don't have kids or anything. She's like, I'm going to bingo tonight. I'm like, where's bingo? And I know there's a board at the Legion.
We got one at the firehouse.
We do.
Well, yeah, but I don't want the firehouse isn't conducive necessarily to that, but could we work
Well,
a
in warmer
deal?
weather, it
In
is,
warmer
because we
weather,
pull
you
the
pull
trucks
trucks
out
out.
and we set up the tables.
Oh, okay.
Winter time we can't. So they were gonna start it, but we could only got like 1 or 2 in.
But
And
there's
then it
more
was winter
parking and
time, so
everything.
we
So the
decided.
other thing is, could we talk to like the Legion
Oh, we
about,
could.
you
You
know,
go
hey,
talk to
could
Paul
we
Leonard, I won't.
use, but you know, those are the kind, I think that's creative,
Yeah.
that can we make some, can we do fundraising that way? Like, I don't know how to call bingo, but we can find plenty of people that will come and help for that.
Purposely talk to Paul or nobody.
Nobody purposely wants to talk forward, you know.
So anyhow, I think those are kind of creative thoughts. We don't want to sell wrapping paper and cheese and sausage, but
Yep.
there might
No,
be
but
some
there
other
is- there
things
is
to
some
kind
things
of
that
bring
might be-
community together, or,
Absolutely.
you know, it's a community cookout. I mean, we're not, you guys aren't doing the carnival this year,
Supposed to be
right?
doing something, but we don't know what yet.
Yeah, we don't know, because the carnival,
We're gonna do
because
bingo.
we changed,
Super
We're
bingo.
gonna do
Set up a
bingo.
tent.
we tried to get
Like a
in
chicken
with them
dinner or
again,
something.
but
Yeah,
they're bucked.
but
you know,
there's
so-
I mean, there's some other opportunities there. Like, could we do something else like
Like it-
that?
And the
And
big ones are, coin drops are good, all that. But like I
yeah,
said, the
like, do
hard
we
part
have
right now is, we still have to.
fire department Olympics at the rec park or something?
I run into
We've
a
done
tournament.
softball games.
Yeah.
We've done
Softball,
all
we've
sorts
done
of,
musters.
we've done
Every
everything.
year
So
on
start to think
Unadilla, I
about
run
those
into
kind of things. There may be
fire department
opportunities
coin
for
drop,
us
and they
to
gotta
raise
make
a little bit of
pile
money to
because everybody's going
cover
to Unadilla to watch the race.
an artist's
They just stand out. Yep,
rendition
I know.
of a
Every
firehouse so that
weekend.
we could sell a little bit
It's like
more
Fallbrook over there.
to the
Mhm.
community,
Yep.
right?
I mean,
Cool.
that's,
They
that's
know
the
the
whole
weekend to
thing about
pick and-
getting out there is the community support. When
Right.
you're out there and they see you, they support you more.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And like, when you don't have the carnival and stuff, as much as it takes a lot of work and you don't make a ton on it, the public relations are huge because it puts you out there in front of everybody that was.
Absolutely.
Well, like, I was just at his fire
That's
department's
what was always-
dinner Saturday night, and then the guy's speech, they did away with the carnival because it takes so long, but instead they do three barbecue chickens
Mhm.
a year. They
Birds
make
are
more,
expensive right now.
make more than they
For
did
free.
by working 2 months or so to put a carnival together.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
and they shocked me because they're looking at replacing a 2006 truck that they say is old. And,
99.
Yeah, and he's like, it felt like we just got this truck yesterday, but it's really old and it's time for it to go. I'm like, whoa, and they do it by chicken
Yeah.
barbecues and
Yeah,
that
no,
stuff.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
in the community I grew up in, like the fire department, right at the Firehouse community building, like they have a permanent chicken barbecue.
Salem does.
Barbecue area thing, like I can
Groceries,
remember the
yeah.
ambulance driving around advertising chicken barbecue and, you call up the
Yeah.
last four, only dial 4 digits when I was a kid and rotary dial phone and then the ambulance would
Did you have a
deliver
party
it
line?
to the house. No, we never had a
Yes,
party
I
line.
did.
But interesting, like I think of like Chevy Chase movie Funny Farm, right? Like they're at Founders Day at the town square
Yeah.
where they killed all the trees in town.
Yep.
center. But like maybe it's even something, it's just hamburgers and hot dogs and it's a softball game and a kickball game and some other stuff. And I bet knowing the town of Arlington, people would really come out to support that.
Well, so with talking back before with Todd, when he was on the board, I talked to him a few times and we had coffee together and he was trying to give me hints, like when we do fundraisers now, we have no purpose for them, right?
Yeah.
It's to pay the bills, blah, blah, blah. He says, if you say, here's what we're getting money for. So let's just say, Josh might throw us $500 on a regular one.
Mhm.
But if we're saying this is what the money's going towards,
Mhm.
he's might say, well, this is worth more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we have a purpose and do like a softball game
Mhm.
for this, you
Yeah.
might get a big turnout rather
I
than.
think you would in Arlington.
No, knowing
I think
Arlington, I
people
agree with you
really
100%.
Support, especially if they know.
You put the word
exactly
out
what
there,
it's
you give it a
going for.
weekend and go for it. It's gonna happen.
So these are all
Hey,
great ideas and talk to the
Everybody loves
membership
when we
about it.
bubble ball against the troopers and beat up
I
on them.
know, but we're not allowed to do that anymore. Somebody got hurt.
We can do it outside on the
Yeah.
soccer field.
But you can.
What
I
about the
die.
dogs?
We can.
I can't run the soccer field. I barely can run the basketball court. Did
I'll
you
set up
see me?
cones
We'll
for
do
you.
half the field.
What about the donkeys? And then
I'll
you decide the
go.
donkey-
That's Animal Control.
So I think there's a lot of
I'm too fat for that
opportunities.
too. I always pick on
You
the
get
back
big-
there.
We'll
the
talk
big
to-
donkeys.
Son of a bitch bucked me up and came up with his leg at the same time. Oh, my
I
God.
was always overweight.
Action items are talk to the rescue squad. We'll invite them to our March 19th meeting. Then the outcomes from that, we'll determine
Our next steps. for
our next
architectural.
steps for contacting some architects to figure out what an artist rendition would cost and, just throw ideas around and stuff and see maybe there's some fundraising opportunities so we could fund that. That would be
Yeah.
So
awesome.
maybe like for them, throw out the offer if they want to join us, throw in two reps from them, just like we have. I mean, now you guys have kind of messed it up with.
No. I think that's
But
a
it used
really
to be
good
two,
opportunity.
two,
If they
two,
have
you know.
interest, then we can ask,
we
would
can
you like a
reconvene the
rep?
committee.
We can
Well, yeah, if they're gonna be a
Just
part of
quick
that.
Question for everybody. I mean, as I said before, Don did the library. He
Yes.
did We're down a member. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
But he has also been really good for building things here in town.
He's an
He's
excellent
often-
resource.
The Keelan Foundation has donated a lot of money to the
Mhm.
department for fireworks and things in the past. Should we offer that open position to Don on this board?
I'd love Don to be on the
I'm
board.
okay
I
with
He
think
that.
told me
Don's-
a couple of years ago that he was no longer doing any board service, but I'm not afraid
Oh,
to
yeah.
ask.
I think.
The respect would be there though, to
Yeah,
offer him, and if he
absolutely.
says no, I appreciate it, great.
Absolutely.
If he does, then.
Or you might
whatever.
say, talk to this person.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he knows a lot of people too, so
Yeah.
that's why but I feel like Don would be now that we're at this juncture, especially, like Don is a incredibly valuable resource
Yeah.
that we have available in the town. So if he would be willing to help us, I think that would be awesome.
I'll drop by and talk to him.
Okay.
And ask it.
Super.
Awesome.
We were gonna stop by and see Don anyway, so
Awesome.
We can-
If you guys want to take care of that,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I mean, I think it'd be really good coming
Coming
personally
from you
from the
guys.
fire
That would be
You know,
department.
that would make it much more. I'd prefer that
Yeah.
No, that's
you
much
guys
better.
stop and see
Yeah.
Don. I mean, I could pop in too, but it would mean a lot more. for you
I think so
guys
too, to
talk
him
with Don.
especially, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is there any other business to be brought before the board this evening? Committee, we're a committee. All right, hearing none, I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Glenn, second by Jamie. We are adjourned.
You guys will contact them.